This daf here Yerushalmi Shabbos in the article Oz Bahar Edition on the top of Daf Ayin Tes Amrav, beginning of the Gemara, the first line, which in the Vilna is on Samach Daled on the base, the line after the Mishnah, Gemara. So the Gemara says, Zrika Toda Hotzai. Zrika is a derivative of Hotzah, vice versa. It's a derivative of Hotzah. Now, the Gemara is addressing now the Machlekes is not brought up yet, but it's coming up later on, and it's in the Bavli as well. By the if you through from Rishus Rabbim to another Rishus Rabbim and through a house in the middle, which is Rishus Yachid. So Rabbanan hold that your potters start Rishus Rabbim and Rishus Rabbim. Rabbi holds your chayev because basic command of Mal Yodamya, famous street of Rebbe, that when you pass through the house, as if it's just landing on solid ground, because the whole house is considered to be as if it's full. Okay, the famous Rashi, a couple places in Shas and Shabbos, maybe twice in Shabbos or once in Shabbos and Sefer, it says, because the house is has a lot of havla. It's dark and dreary inside, so it's as if it's solid. So in any event, so here the Gemara says, "V'lo shani ben adaite," the Korban puts in the word Rebbe, the ben adaite Rabbanan, makes no difference. They both agree. When it rested in Rishus Yachid in the middle, in other words, went into Rishus Rabbim, rested in Rishus Yachid, then went to Rishus Rabbim, you're chayiv. But al daiti the Rebbe, according to Rebbe, afilu lo nocha, even if it didn't rest, come to a rest, even if it just passed through the Rishus Yachid. That Rabbana Wushanocha, Rabbana has to actually come to a rest. Dama Rabbi Bar Huna b'Shem Rab Lochi Rebbe alidei Rishus Yachid Mekura. Because it's a Mekura, which again in the Bavli, the language is basic command, the Mayodama, it's as if it's passing through the solid when it passes through the house. Rishus Yachid Mekura is a house, right? Rishus Yachid with a roof. But it seems Rabbi Yochanan argues. And so Yochanan Amar, I feel ain't a Mekura. Even past Rishus Yachid, it's not Mekura, because it's still considered to be kluta kamisha huncha. It's as if it's absorbed into the Rishus Yachid. The Yochanan I feel ain't a Mekura. The Amar Rabbi Yam B'Shem Yochanan v'ushetei la'abir mechitzos. As long as it goes down into the airspace of the walls, even though it doesn't actually, even though it doesn't have a roof. Okay, Rabbi Yima Boykam Rabbi Yochanan Masnisa the Rebbe. Now the plain Moshe points out we're not going to our Mishnah. It's going to Mishnah and Gittin. Lava Masisin Donkai El Masisin the Perakazorik begin Kai. What's going to see the hub? It's up a gimel. There's the primary location here. It's brought Derech Agav. Vasantina Hoitzemesh was a Gav, a woman standing ahead at the top of the roof. The Zokul Agag and the get, and they threw to her get. Came via Gag. Once it reaches the airspace of the roof, Harezim Gureshes, she is divorced. If they Rabbi Yochanan mean name, but the high Maslisin lo asel Rabbi do avi mechitzas kamashon. Is this going like Rabbi who says once it's between the airspace of the mechitzas, like we see here said on Shabbos? Again, according to Rabbi Yochanan, you don't need it to be mekura. Also over there by getting the same thing. So that's the question. Masisa the Rebbe of mechitzas kamashon. I'm like no. Dibra kolu hacha begitin. It's Gittin is different, as Plain Moshe points out. Or maybe lohi. It's got to be safe kept in a rishus in order to make a kinyan. There's no din of hanocha by Gittin. There's only din of mishumar and the minter, and this is minter. So therefore, even when Rabbanon, so once it reaches the avir mechitzo, she's megreshes. So the Yosivne, he could have responded if he held that Shabbos is that Rebbe passing the way by Shabbos only by Rishus Yachid Mekura. You see, he could have had Rebbe Omer Mekura, Rebbe is on Shabbos by Mekura. But after Mar Ein Mekura, you want to draw a parallel to Ein Mekura? It's not a question. So, as the Plain Moshe says, Klomar V'Yisrael that Rebbe Yochanan leave Rebbe Nami Stvili Hachi. Rishus Yachid Mekura. If you're going to say that he also got Rishus Yachid Mekura, can't hear a shivo. They should respond, Matam Mishim Rishus Yachid Mekura. Why are you asking a question of Rishus Yachid Mekura? The Ba'achi Dafka Mechayev Rebbe, where Rebbe was Mechayev specifically in that case. The Gittin, the Avir Agagu has Avir Agag. In Kankira, there's no ceiling, no roof. Agav on top. But Mishim Time Achrinik, it's obvious it would have to be a different reason by Gittin. So the Gemara Taka asks, "Ma ben Gittin, ma ben Shabbos." Why by Gittin is are you chayev, even if it's not nach? We don't consider it munach. And by Shabbos, you only consider chayev if you consider it munach. It's more of a question of Rabbanan than a Rebbe, because Rabbanan hold that the Rebbe holds by Shabbos also, we say, at least that Kluduk Mishuluncha. But according to Rabbanan hold, we don't say Kluduk Mishuluncha by Shabbos, by begin, once it reaches Avram Mechitz, Shema Gereshes. So, Rabbi Bilo said, Shabbos give lo saseh kol melacha. But it says, don't do any melacha. Menaseh si me'aleh. The melacha happened on its own. We'll explain in a minute. From Hacha, but here, I Torah Amav Nasam Biyada, given into her hand, Rishusa. Her Rishus is sufficient. So the Yerushalmi Shabbos does a very beautiful explanation. He says, beginning we say Klutuk Mishuluncha, because the Geta is in the Avir Mechitzos. So Mitzad Adin, it's as if it's on the ground. Klutuk Mishuluncha. By Shabbos, but even you say Mitzad Hadin, that the object is as if it's on the ground. But in the final analysis, it's not actually on the ground. So you didn't actually put it on the ground. You were not meiniach. There's no anacha. According to Yerushalmi, Klutuk Mishuluncha is a law, a legal parameter. It's like almost a legal fiction. And it's like it's a legitimate one. It's like good asking mechitzta, right? It's a halacha. But just like we would not be mechayiv you as boina if you built a wall through good asking mechitzta. Right, somehow you have to actually do construction in order to be malach on Shabbos, right? So too, Klutuk can't say Klutuk Mishuluncha is meniach. Rebbe holds that hanacha in the air, either in the house or in the mechitzas, is Mishuluncha, but it's before mamish, it's as if it's actually on the ground. But Rabban holds it's a din. A din hazah, as the briskers say. So therefore, you can't be mechayiv on a din hazah, you can only be mechayiv on actual malacha. Okay. So the famous joke by Sukkah, this somebody comes to the police station and says, "I had a robbery," and they asked him was an object in an enclosed space. He says, "Of course, it was in my Sukkah." And they went. So the police went and looked at the Sukkah. And said, "What are you talking about? It's completely open. It wasn't closed off." And the Babai says, "What do you mean? Here there's gurasek. Here there's lavud. It's completely closed off." Okay. So in any event, you could say that in order to create a halachic structure in din, but not in order to create metzius of malacha. That's the Menaseh Simei Aleh, can it happen just on its on account of the halacha which you apply. That's an interesting way of explaining it. Okay, Shmuel Amar Lo Shana Elamata Me'asora. Shmuel said it's that which Zarek Rishus Yachid, Rishus Yachid, Rishus Rabim Be'emtza, and Mechai, when we stay Klutuk Mishuluncha, when it's below 10 in the middle in the Rishus Rabim. Mal Me'asora Osir, but above Asora, it's Osir, but it's Potter, as the Shas points out. And he says you don't have to actually change it, but the Osir means who Potter. Right? You could change the Potter, you can say Osir means Potter because it's going through a Makam Patur above 10. Even still, Rabbanan Asa doing it. The Milsa de Rabbi Eliezer Amar Filu Malam Me'asara. However, Rabbi Eliezer argues, and it says even Malam Me'asara, it's here it says Mutter. The Shang Shudu changed it to Plige. He holds you're actually chayev above 10, which is a rabbim. Now the Korban changes it to from mutter to usur. But it sounds like it's the rice from the Gemara. Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva learned the going from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim from Margolos. So extending the beams from one wagon to one wagon in the midbar. It wasn't between wagons when they extending the beams wasn't above 10 tefachim. So therefore it sounds like it's not just usur, it's chayev, it's a deraisa. So I see the Tubi Yerushalmi speaks about it. Yeah, but it's a Taraz and Tori shining in the back, brings down the Ritva. I'm not sure he actually had the Girsa Plige, um, but according to the Ritva, it's clear that the Gemara is saying it's the Raisa, according to Abelazar, according to Kiva, because the Golos is the Raisa. Okay. East Tani Tani Ketzad. So this is really not talking about our Mishnah, but the following Mishnah. In Halacha Beis begins. Ketzad shteik shos kazu keneged zu. East lo tani Ketzad. To those who don't learn Ketzad. So al daite Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer, who learns out from the Hagolos. So the sheet of Rabbi Akiva is learned from the Hagolos. So is kan Ketzad. There is kan Ketzad, and therefore. Yeah, Ketzad Teju Zo Zukneg Zu B'Shus Rabbi Moshe B'Zoy Mizul Zu Potter Hayishtem B'Yuta Achas and Moshe Chai B'Zoy Potter Shkach Zo B'Yis Elvim Shtego Zu Achar Zu Shus Rabbi Moshe Yitzchosh Mizul Zu. That we're learning out from the Avodah Levim in the Midbar that you Moshe crossing from one to another, then they're one lined up one after the other. You're a chayav. So our Mishnah we keep us mechayev. The Ketzah next to the Mishnah is an example. Is Aldaiti the Shmuel who says the Malam Asor it's Aser, but it's Potter, right? So Leiskan Ketzad, you can't say Ketzad because he obviously is not learning our case of Zorek from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Ramim and Rishus Yachid to Rishus Ramim and from Agolos, because he's saying in our Mishnah it is if it's Malam, he's saying our Malam Asara is Aser, not it's and Potter, not Chayiv, and if Agolos, so then that should be Chayiv as well. The Korban explains that a little bit better than I just explained it. Al Daiti the Shmuel, the Lo Lefer Akiva Zarek Mi Moshit. You don't learn Zarek Moshit. Logo sing a Ketzah B'Sefer Al Milsa Ape Nafshi. It's a separate thing, right? Because on our Mishnah, only because it's Zorek you're Chayiv. Only Zorek Matamei Asara you're Chayiv. If Zorek L'Malamei Asara, you'd be Potter. But if Zorek be learned from Moshit, then even Zorek L'Malamei Asara would be Chayiv. So therefore, it can't be that the two halachas are connected together. According to Rabbi, of course, they are connected together. Okay, so Mara asks an interesting question. I don't think it's in the Bavli. Yitzhak Rabbi Zorak Mishus Yach Lishus Rabbi. Through from Shus Yach, the case our Mishnah. Through from Shus Yachid, via Rishus Rabbi, and it was on its way to get to another Rishus Yachid. When this guy Rishus Rabbi, you remembered when. It's in the middle. Rishus Rabbi. Well, it's just Rabbi. What I just did was also it's either it's also or that Shabbos today. So Al Daita Rekiba. The second Mishnah Nacha Rishus Rabbi. According to Kiba, let it be like it was rested in Rishus Rabbi. Yechayev. The Korban Eidah, according to this first version, takes out the word time. We're going to go with the first version of Korban Eidah. He says, "Yechayev." The Potter. That here's Michai, because according to Kiva, if a Klutik Mishun Rishus Rabim, by the time you remembered, you already did a malacha. Because it's over Rishus Rabim. It's Klutik Rishus Rabim, so it's too late. You did a malacha already. You can't say that he remembered in the middle of the malacha, therefore should be Potter. You remember after the malacha was done. Right? Rabbi Kiva said, Lochi, Rabbi Kiva, they were Rishus Yachid Shnia. No. So it says the Korban Lochi Rakiva Ayadesha Nach B'Shuv Shus Yachid Shnia. So it comes to rest in the second Shus Yachid. I will close much lo Nach if as long as it's not Nach. Lo Mina Kamishun Chadami. You don't say it was if it was Munach in Rishus Rabim. Kakev Shis Kam Shanak Kamishun Dami. It's a fascinating thing. You need Aloch and Rishus Yachid in order to say the Kamishun in Rishus Rabim. But Rabbi Avo b'shem Rabbi Lez b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said, "I'm just saying, Zork l'mala mea." Oh, they skip. No. Wait. Yeah. You were standing in Shus Harabim, you tossed it above 10 tvachim. Roim, so we see Shim Tipo Linach B'toch Arba Amos Potter. If it would fall and rest within 4 amos, it wouldn't traverse total 4 amos Shus Harabim, you're Potter. V'im Lav Chayav. And if not, you're Chayav. So despite the fact that when it went above 10 tvachim, it was in a Malkum P'tur. So the Korban says, I've took Abba Amos Elu Avir Derech Malkum P'tur, and we landed afterwards. Afilachi Chayiv, nevertheless, the Chayiv. So then Shmuel saying, Mishus Harabim, Shus Be'emtza. If you have a shoot, go throw from Shus Harabim, Shus Yochid is in the middle. Roim Shim Tipo. Nacha B'toch Arba Amos Potter. We see that if it would fall there within 4 amos, it's Potter in Lav Chayiv, and if not, you're Chayiv. And the Korban explains. Avagav Sheish Arba Amos Mokum Shin Zorak Zok Im Nitzarv Gam Rishus Yochid Be'emtza. Even though the 4 amos from the place you threw it to the place where it rested, if you join Rishus Yochid to the Rishus Harabim on either side of it, Afilachi Potter. Nevertheless, you're Potter. So why here, when it went to the Malkum P'tur, are you Chayev? Okay, even if make 4 amos before it went to Malkum P'tur and after it went to Malkum P'tur. It should be just like where it went, it made the 4 amos. No, sorry. Even though, if there are 4 amos, including the Malkum P'tur, so it should be, you should be Potter. Just like over there, if the 4 amos include Rishus Yochid, you're Potter. What's the difference? The Gemara says, the part of the question, Tamanat Omer Ein Rishus Harabim Mitzaref is there. You don't join the 2 components of Rishus Harabim, the one on the one side of the one on one side of the Rishus Yochid, the one on the other side of Rishus Yochid, and in order to make up the with the Rishus Yochid, in order to make up 4 amos. The Rishus Yochid does not join the Rishus Harabim. V'achad Amar Rishus Harabim Mitzaref is here. It says Rishus Harabim is mitzaref for the Malkum P'tur in the middle in order to make up 4 amos. Why? So Rabbi Chuna said, Tamachim Tipo Bakarka Tachter Rishus Yochid. Because there, if it falls, falls directly down in the Rishus Yochid, which is in the middle of the 2 aspects, 2 Rishus Harabims, you're going to be, you will never have gotten to 4 amos Rishus Harabim. It would not have Nachan Rishus Harabim. But here, Shim Tipo Karka Shechter Rishus Harabim. Here, if it falls to the ground, it would fall in Rishus Harabim. So we're measuring Rishus Harabim on the ground. It's a fascinating thing. We're measuring Rishus Harabim on the ground, not in the air, right? The air is just a way for it to get to the 4 amos. But we have to look at what the ground is. So if it went, even if it went above 10 tvachim, the Malkum P'tur, the bottom line is you traverse 4 amos in Rishus Harabim, because the whole area underneath was Rishus Harabim. And the fact that we had the Malkum P'tur in the middle, that's not my limit. Well, it's not, whatever. Whereas where Rishus Yochid is in the middle, so then it didn't traverse 4 amos Rishus Harabim on the ground. There was actually Rishus Yochid in the middle, which interrupted it. Okay, so Mark continues with what seems like an odd statement. Time Shem Rabbi Yehuda Zork Arba Amos Rishus Harabim Chayev. You throw 4 amos Rishus Harabim you're Chayev. It seems to be quite simple, one of the basic malachas. So that's the point. Rabbi Yehuda Avadar Amos Rishus Harabim Malacha Bifnei Atzma. He makes it a separate malacha. That's the point. The Korban says Im Hotzoah Chayev Shtayim. You did go to Hotzah, you Chayev Shtayim, 1 for Zrika Arba Amos Rishus Harabim, and 1 for the Hotzah. Al died Rabbi Yehuda, me malacha sinun. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there are 40 malachas. V'nisnan. Let's mention this additional malacha. Lo asinu mitzvah, so Klal Gadol, where we have the list. Obviously, question, let's mention this in the list in Klal Gadol. The answer is, Lo asinu mitzvah, min l'kol amma moedibon. Yes, there are Tanoim who had other opinions about other malachas, in fact. And 39 is not etched in stone, but there are 39 malachas which were subject to universal agreement. The other ones, which are subject to dispute, they're not enumerated in the Mishnah. Lo asina misne elokol milikol amamoidban. Rabbi Zir Rabbi Yosef B'Shem Yochid said, "Mitofrei Yos Yolamad Rabbi Huda." Rabbi Huda learned this malacha, this new malacha from Tofrei Rios, from the people who were sewing the curtains in the basin in the Mishkan. They would toss their needles one to each other, and they tossed them. Evidently, it seemed Rishus Harabim, but the Gemara says, "Wait, a little Carmelis Vaya." They weren't in Rishus Harabim. It says even more than that. They were tossed between the curtains. Between the curtains, they're no more than Carmelis, right? So no, they would throw them from the side. In other words, in the side, in between the curtains was the Carmelis, but on the outside was Rishus Harabim. So they threw them on the Rishus Harabim side, and that's why it would be should be a malacha and the separate malacha, which Rabbi Yehuda wanted to say was an additional to malachas in our Mishnah, and that is the end for today. So we have gotten to Daf Pei.